Lake Tanganyika. Slowly losing its breath. There is a lake in Africa, so deep that sunlight dies, long before reaching the bottom. A lake so old, that it existed before human memory. A lake that holds almost 1/5 of the world's fresh surface water. And yet today, millions of poor people are fighting over what remains at the top. This is not just water. This is Lake Tanganyika. A giant lake born from a broken earth. Long before borders were drawn, long before countries had names, the earth itself broke open. Deep in East Africa, the land began to tear apart slowly. This crack became the East African Rift Valley. From that wound, water gathered. Year after year, century after century, million after million years. That water became Lake Tanganyika. Today, the lake stretches almost 700 kilometers from north to south. From one end, you cannot see the other. It touches 4 countries: Tanzania, Democratic Republic of Congo, Burundi, and Zambia. But the lake does not care about borders. It was here before flags. Before governments. Before wars. The deepest lake in Africa. Lake Tanganyika is the deepest lake in Africa. And the second deepest lake on Earth. At its deepest point, it goes down more than 1,400 meters. If you dropped Mount Everest inside this lake, its peak would still not reach the surface. Down there, there is no light. No oxygen. No life. Life exists only in the top skin of water, a thin layer where oxygen and sunlight meet. And this thin layer feeds millions of people. A lake older than humanity. Scientists say Lake Tanganyika is 9 to 12 million years old. That means it existed before modern humans, before farming, before cities. For millions of years, the lake lived in balance. Fish evolved slowly. Species adapted carefully. Nature took its time. Some fish learned to eat plants. Some learned to eat snails. Some learned to guard their babies. The lake became a living museum of evolution. But evolution is slow. Humans are not. When humans came to the lake. People came to Lake Tanganyika long ago. They respected it. They fished with simple tools. They took only what they needed. The lake gave generously. Fish fed families. Fish raised children. Fish built villages. The lake became life itself. A morning on the shore. Before sunrise, a fisherman pushes his wooden boat into the water. The lake is quiet. Cold. Dark. His hands are rough. His net is old. Behind him on the shore, his children are still sleeping. If he catches fish today, they will eat. If he does not, they will wait. This is Lake Tanganyika today. The lake that feeds millions. Millions of people live around Lake Tanganyika. For them, the lake is not beauty. It is survival. Fish from the lake provide up to 40% of animal protein for nearby communities. There are no factories. Few jobs. Little land. When everything else fails, people turn to the lake. Population grew. Poverty grew faster. Over time, population increased. Land became crowded. Jobs disappeared. Poverty deepened. More people came to fish. More boats. More nets. Smaller mesh nets. Fish were caught before growing. Eggs were taken before hatching. The lake tried to give. But even a giant can become tired. Overfishing, eating tomorrow today. Fishing effort increased many times. But fish catches began to fall. Fishermen now work longer hours, for smaller returns. This hurts more than hunger. Because it kills hope. A man who works all night and returns with an empty net, feels something break inside. But he still goes back the next day. Because hunger gives no holiday. Pollution arrives quietly. Lake Tanganyika looks clean from far away. But pollution enters silently. Growing towns dump sewage into the lake. Plastic waste floats near the shore. Farms send chemicals through rivers. Trees are cut. Soil washes into water. The lake absorbs everything. But absorbing does not mean forgetting. Fish breeding grounds suffer. Water quality changes. The damage is slow, but real. Climate change, the invisible threat. Lake Tanganyika depends on wind and cold nights to mix nutrients from deep water to the surface. Climate change disrupts this balance. Surface water becomes warmer. Deep water stays trapped below. Nutrients cannot rise. Fish grow less. Fish numbers fall. The lake is still deep. But it is no longer strong. A story we have seen before. This story is not new. Lake Victoria lived this story. Lake Malawi is living it now. All three lakes share the same pain. Poverty, overfishing, pollution, weak protection. Lake Victoria collapsed first. Lake Malawi is under pressure. Lake Tanganyika is next. Different lakes. Same mistakes. Poverty and nature, a cruel circle. The poorest people often live next to the richest natural resources. Lake Tanganyika holds enormous water and life. Yet the people remain poor. When people have no choices, they depend fully on nature. When nature is overused, poverty becomes deeper. This circle is hard to break. What if the lake fails? If Lake Tanganyika collapses, hunger will rise, conflict may grow, migration will increase. The lake is holding society together. Break the lake, and people will break. Is there still hope? Yes. But it is fragile. Some communities are trying. Using larger nets, respecting breeding seasons, protecting certain areas. But hope needs support. You cannot ask a hungry man to protect tomorrow, if today is empty. The lake is still speaking. Lake Tanganyika survived. Earth breaking apart. Millions of years of change. But it may not survive human desperation. The lake is not angry. It is tired. And it is asking one simple question. Will you save me? Before I can no longer save you.